you start finding out that either maybe there was a war, there was some type of famine, there was something that happened as to why certain areas eat what they eat.
So you think the Democratic Party cares about Black people? Believe it or not, Rex, I think that tweet is part of the problem. Do you feel like we could have addressed this homeless issue much sooner? You have to speak a word, make it a good one.
Okay, let's go.
Welcome back to The Word. Once again, I'm Jackie Ray. I am on location. I don't really do this often, so I am excited because I am here with Executive Chef Denise Smith. We are here at a hotel that we're going to tell you about because you probably are going to want to come here on July 23rd. I'm personally very excited. But Denise, you're an executive chef.
Yes.
You're also the president of the Southern California Black Chef Association, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, let's start from the very beginning.
Okay.
When did your love for food happen? Cooking food, not eating it.
Yeah, right. So, I think it was just being around my grandparents, my mother. My mom was a cake decorator.
Okay.
And then she was the type of person that if someone came to visit our church from out of town, a visiting pastor, something like that, she always cooked for people.
Gotcha.
And so what I realized was food brings people together, regardless of your nationality. We can't communicate, but I can give you something to eat. And that's my way to communicate with you. Just being around my grandparents, they had a farm in Alabama. And so I would go there a lot and I would learn about like just farming.
Mhm.
Farming, killing animals.
Mm.
My grandfather had a smokehouse and I would sit in the smokehouse with him and there'd be big slabs of meat and he would smoke meat for days. And so, just I had a passion for food. I was like, I love cooking.
Did they make you kill animals?
Yes, we did learn how to kill
Wow.
animals. Yes.
How old were you when you had to kill?
9.
Whoa.
9.
Whoa.
I remember sitting in the backyard watching my grandma and she had a big old pot of water.
Mm-hmm.
And she had the clothesline. I don't know if people know what a clothesline is.
Yeah, old school. You had to hang your clothes on it so they could dry.
Before dryers.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And she would take the chickens and snap their necks, twist it around,
Mm-hmm.
and then put it in that hot pot of water. She'll get the plucking the feathers off of it.
So they don't pluck the feathers first. You put it in
the hot water. The hot water helps you to pluck the feathers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. She would hang the chicken up and let the blood and stuff drain out of it.
9.
Yeah. But ultimately, this is how our chicken gets in the store some kind of way.
Right.
I mean, it looks all nice in the store, but there's a process that's taking place prior to.
Isn't that weird? That's a very naive mindset that we're all like, oh my God, you saw chickens being killed, but then
Right.
all of us are
But you
eating
eat chicken. Right. But you don't want to kill the little chicken, huh?
Very true. Okay, so
Yeah.
so you didn't have like a negative reaction to that. I think some people go either way. They're either, oh, I don't want to eat meat, or
Right.
you're like, okay, this is how it's done.
No, it was like I was learning how we survive,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, it was just, I love to learn about like growing peanuts and growing watermelons and picking sugarcane, and all these fruits and vegetables that we see in the store, we don't know the process. And I mean, for me, I'm like this. If it really came down to it where like when COVID hit, that was like life changing for us. So just
Mhm.
imagine if all the stores closed and we didn't have anything. Even when COVID hit, I remember my friends were selling bread on social media because
Oh,
there was no
wow.
bread in the
Yeah.
stores.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all these tools that I learned when I was growing up, I can make me some bread.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can make those things that everybody's, oh my God, we don't have this in the store. But it has a process
Mhm.
before it gets to the store.
Right.
So I know the process. You don't know the process. So now you're relying on the store.
Yeah. Or if things go bad, I'm
Or if
relying on
things
you
go-
now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So when did you decide this is a career that I want to do for the rest of my life?
So my husband was in the military and we moved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I started a little dessert business and it was called House of Mini Desserts.
Okay.
And they were less like 2-bite desserts,
Mm-hmm.
like 2-bite pecan pies, sweet potato pies. And I would sell them to restaurants.
Mm.
And that's how I got my product into different restaurants.
Nice.
So, and that was in Texas. So a lot of the barbecue restaurants, things like that, they're popular there.
Mm-hmm.
So those places would buy my products and then they would just sell it to their customers.
Gotcha.
So then we moved to California. We actually lived up north. I did my desserts there. We moved to Texas. Back to Texas. I did them there. Then we moved to Southern California.
Okay.
And my husband got out of the military. And he was like, you followed me everywhere. So now it's my turn to follow you.
Nice.
So he was like, you can do whatever you want. So I knew California and New York set the trends for the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, I'm going to get to culinary arts. First, I went to school for a business degree because
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, okay, business is going to make me more well-rounded with running my dessert business. And I wanted to know every aspect because a lot of times people don't know, like you'll hear someone, oh, this celebrity went to jail because they didn't pay their taxes.
Right.
But they're relying on someone else to do that job.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, it's going to fall on you. The person that didn't file your taxes is not going to jail. You are.
Right.
So I wanted to learn everything. Then once I went to Cerritos College, excuse me, and I learned, got my business degree
Mm-hmm.
in small business management entrepreneurship, I said, you know what? I think they got a culinary program here. I think I want to take their culinary arts program. So I signed up for the baking program. And then I said, you know what? I might as well just sign up for both. So I signed up for baking and cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of work. But what I learned was, first of all, it put words, technical terms to what I was doing in the kitchen that we wasn't necessarily calling. So
Oh,
say for
gotcha.
instance, we would say the browning in the bottom of the pan,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually called deglazing, right?
Oh,
There's
really?
actually a name for it, right?
Oh. That.
Yeah. So it put, like I said, technical terms to what I was doing. What I also learned was I could cook, I make desserts all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it came to cooking, my food tastes good, but it didn't look pretty.
Oh, presentation.
And people eat with their eyes.
They do.
And then the other thing is, us as Blacks, we were taught to overcook things because of slavery, right?
Yeah.
Because to store the food.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, you don't have to overcook it. And so sometimes my professor, he was so funny. He was Italian. He's married to an Ethiopian lady.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows Black people overcook the stew out of their food, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he would stand behind me and he'd be like, some fish, Denise, it's already dead. It's already dead. Just let it go. Just let it go. It's done. But for me, I'd be like, it needed to look a certain way to me.
Right.
But the reality was, even when cooking greens, we're overcooking them. There is no nutrition in this leaf anymore.
Exactly.
The nutrition is in the water, the pot, what we call pot liquor.
Yep.
So now that's what I need to drink because I cook all the nutrition out of this green vegetable.
I do want to say to all my friends that get mad at me when I say this very thing, here's a professional.
Yes. So even with our vegetables, when I cook my vegetables, I like my green beans to just have a nice, pretty pop.
Yeah.
And really, when you put the vegetables in the water, when the water is boiling, if you you can actually tell when the color changes.
Mm.
It brightens up for a little while. And then when we overcook it, that's the way we normally have it, then it's a darker color.
Right.
So,
and I think sometimes people forget that we're eating to get the nutrition.
Exactly.
And so when we're overcooking it, we're losing the nutrition.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
So now you guys know.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even what I wanted to talk to you about today. But
Okay.
look, we're getting nutritional value out of this as well. So how did you become the president of the Southern California Black Chefs Association?
So when COVID hit, I started a food giveaway.
Oh, nice.
I moved into Long Beach in an area that I didn't know where I was moving to. And so once we moved over here, I was like,
oh, because you moved during COVID, sight unseen.
Right, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when we moved over here, I was like, man, there's a lot of homeless people everywhere. Like in front of the liquor store, just on the corners, just one lady, I remember she set up shop in the bushes by our apartment. And the apartment management had to, the maintenance guys kept moving her things.
Right.
But I'm like, this is her shelter. So I said all that to say, I started the food giveaway. Food banks and things like that, churches that were giving away food closed. There was
Right.
nowhere for people to get food. That's what's realistic. We had to depend on ourselves. I didn't need food, but I saw there was a need in my community.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of being a person that talked about the problem, I wanted to be part of the solution.
Mm.
I didn't know how much I could impact, but I was like, whatever I can do to help, I want to help. So I partnered with my church and I used their nonprofit status.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get food from a food bank. The food bank would fill up my car, my SUV full of food. That would be on it was either Wednesday, I think. I would get everything home, unload it all, and our living room was big enough to where I could just set the food up like a store.
Nice.
And I would go through everything, and then I would do a video and let
Mhm.
people know this is all the food I have. If you know anyone who needs something, contact me. So once we did that, it got to the point where the neighbors, I guess word of mouth just spread.
Right.
So Thursday, people were lined up already at my front door with shopping carts.
Wow.
And I would just start loading up their shopping carts with food. Thursday night, I took everything that I could come up with and of the food that I was given, and I would make a dish.
Mm-hmm.
So like I might do a jerk chicken or something. But I always made sure you had like your rice, your some type of starch and some type of vegetables to go with it. And that would be the dish that I would make. All the food and everything I had left over, we would take it to, there was a church in Downey that would let us come use their church. They wouldn't let us in. They would set up a tent outside the front of the church and we could have people come by.
Okay.
So people would drive by, and if you wanted to, you could get cold food if you had somewhere to store it. If not, you would get hot plates.
Mm-hmm.
And the Black Chefs Association followed me on social media. They're in Philly or in Washington. They followed me and they saw what I was doing. And so they wanted to give me an award. So their award show that particular year was all virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was they had pictures of us and they will hold up our picture and show that what we were nominated, and then the next year, they saw that I had fed over 10,000 people in California during COVID. And the master chef and I, we would talk on the phone and we just started developing a closer relationship, and he knew my aspirations for what I wanted to do. And so he's like, the Black Restaurant Week.
Mm-hmm.
And the gas company, Southern California Edison, was asking, do you guys have a chapter president here? And they were like, well, we have one person we're thinking of. And so then they told them, okay, we're going to nominate Denise to be the chapter president for California. And then I explained to them that California is very big. And so I told them, eventually we'll need to break this up to where somebody's Northern California and somebody's Southern California.
Right.
And then there's a regional person because California is very big. And they didn't realize how big California was.
Right. What's the tier system? Is it like sous chef, executive chef, master? Like what's the tier system?
Yeah, so it's like a cook. A cook is where you start. So you might go to school to be a chef. You go to cook school, but just because you went to school doesn't mean you're going to go in the kitchen and be a chef.
Oh, it doesn't?
No. Oh. You're going to start out possibly as a cook unless you have some kind of connection or somebody's seen your skill set.
Okay.
You're going to start out as a cook, a line cook, a prep cook. Those are going to be the jobs you do.
Gotcha.
A prep cook is somebody who's going to be cutting up vegetables, things like that. They're prepping things. A line cook is someone who you've actually given them a position, and maybe that person, you got the fryer.
Gotcha. Okay.
This other person, you doing all the salads. Because one of the kitchens I ran, literally, we had a buffet every meal. So we'd have one staff member that was for the buffet. Then we had a second staff member that was for all the orders. So people could actually order. So whatever orders came in, that went to that person. Then the next person, all she did was salads. But we had a lot of different salads. So all three of those are line cooks. But, and that's the line, that's what we call a line, is what they're on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you graduate from that.
So then if you get a promotion of some sort, then you could be promoted. The next step would be a sous chef.
Okay.
And then the next step above that is executive chef, and sometimes they have an executive sous chef.
Okay.
So, I mean, some people never get to be an executive chef. It just depends. Like the company I work for Compass Group. They had a pilot program that they did, and they selected some of us, and we actually took classes from Culinary Institute of America. So that's how I got my executive chef certification.
Are there a lot of Black chefs?
No,
I didn't think so.
It's very odd. You don't see a lot of Black chefs. You don't see a lot of women in the kitchen, Black women in the kitchen. It's like an oddity. Like the last property I was at, literally, I was the only Black person there.
Oh, wow.
All my staff was Hispanic or another race. Yeah, it's just rare.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's a lot of white men. And I don't know if it's because when you say executive chef, you know, it's like that status with that position. Because being an executive chef, there's a lot that it entails. When I work for Compass Group, I'm not only the chef that you just see walking around greeting people. I make the menu. I made a menu for a place 7 days a week, 3 meals a day. And I have to make a menu for all kinds of races. It's not just Black people there.
Right.
Most of the time, there was no Black people there. Every other race. So that means you got to make sure the food is tailored to. So, and every Tuesday in California we call it Mexican Tuesday at my place. And so from the salad to the appetizers, the desserts, the main courses, it all had to fit under that theme.
So why would any establishment have more confidence in a white man creating a Mexican menu?
Because you know what? So this is what I'm going to tell. I think that when people first see a Black woman, you automatically in your head think, all she knows how to cook is soul food.
Oh, I see.
So if
but
all
what do
I
you
know
think the white man can make?
Oh, they think the white man can make everything.
They do?
Yeah.
Even and when I think of people who can cook, and this might also be a stereotype, I always think like somebody's grandma. I always think women.
Right. So okay, so the word chef actually is French, right?
Okay.
That's who basically started. Even though each nationality has to cook, everybody has to cook to eat, right? They're the ones who basically, I guess, started this thing, right? And a lot of it's French and Italian male chefs, and I've worked with some. I've worked with some that have the strongest Italian accent, tatted up. You know, Chef Jomo, he worked at a place called Fig and Olive. We did the Golden Globes together.
Yes.
And I did not want to work with that man because I was like, he is so tattooed up and his accent is so strong. I don't want to talk to him because sometimes you have a fear like,
are you going to understand?
Right. Are we going to be able to communicate? And he pulled me and I had to work right underneath him. I was his main person. But I said all that to say, I wanted to understand, how did he end up in the kitchen? And he said it was his mother. His mother made him go in the kitchen with him.
See, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So that's how a lot of those individuals ended up in this position. And then, you know, a lot of us, we just don't go to school for that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know?
That's very true.
So, like I said, I wanted to go to be more well-rounded and to make my food look just as pretty as the other people's food look, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that I had flavorful food. And so now I'm just like, since people eat with their eyes, if I can pull them in with their eyes, then once they're pulled in, then they'll taste it.
Right. Now, we were talking while you were making your lollipops, and you were telling me that you quit your job and doubled your income? How did you do that?
I quit my job. So when COVID hit, I got a position through Compass Group. I got 2 promotions. So by the time I quit my job, I was an executive chef.
Nice.
But my problem with that was I'm not at home for my kids. My family's lacking something. And so I told my husband, you know, how would you feel if I quit my job? And he said, well, you weren't supposed to be working a full-time job anyways. Your ultimate goal was for you to work for yourself.
Right.
So I said, okay, so you're good with me leaving this pay?
Yeah, you got to ask in this economy like 3 times. Are you sure?
Good? And he was like, yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I said, okay, so we're going to be just on your paycheck and that's it. You know, and I told myself, you know, I'm going to put myself out there and how can I market and sell myself? I know there's Facebook and all these other avenues, but I wanted to use something that was going to present myself in a professional manner, right? So I got on an app called Thumbtack.
Okay.
And so I use this app to get leads. But just because you get a lead, you still got to close the deal with the customer.
Right.
Right. So what I did on the app was I don't have a picture of myself. When you first get there, you see my logo. Then once you go through, you see the pictures of the food. By the time you get to a picture of me, you don't care what I look like because you've been drawn in by the food. So that app, I only work on the weekend. Usually Monday through Friday, I talk to my customers, or Monday through Thursday, just setting up events. And then I work on the weekends.
And you doubled your income.
And I've doubled my pay from the job that I left at Compass Group. And I work for a high-end senior living estate in Duarte. I used to work for Westminster Garden and for Royal Oaks Estate. So I know if anybody Googles those places, you'll know where I work.
That's such a testament to not only have the faith and the foundation to quit your job, but then to see it just
double
manifest
like
that.
Yeah. Like there have been days, and I've been fortunate enough, I've had days where I made $10,000
in a day.
And I was dropping off food. I wasn't even staying at the event. It was drop-offs. And I'm like, word of mouth is so amazing, because someone texts me and says, "Hey, chef, are you available for," I think it was New Year's? And I'm like, "No, I already have an event, but I could send some other staff," because I have other staff. So they were like, "Okay." So I said, "Well, who is this?" They said, "Well, I've contacted you before, but I'm actually referring someone else to you."
Okay.
So I said, "Okay." So then they send me the person's information. They're about to call you. So this lady, she gets on the phone and she's like, "I just want to know, is this going to be enough money for you?" And it was just appetizers. The 2 parties I did that day were all appetizers.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, I didn't know you could make this much money in food. I mean, I knew the company I work for, they would tell me, "You have one of the biggest contracts for Compass in the senior living side, Morrison." They were like, "You have a $10 million contract." But my thing was this: I'm not getting the $10 million.
Right.
I don't see the $10 million.
Right.
And when I told them I was leaving, they were like, "Well, what are you going to do with all that talent?" And I said, "I'm going to use myself like you use me." Because a lot of times before I got promoted, I was doing the job of the executive chef that was on the property. So my dining director followed my social media, and she would see all the stuff I did on the weekend, because I still did my own little thing. And she would see some of the things that I made. Like one time I did like breakable hearts for something. And then next thing I know, they're having me make breakable hearts for the sales department. I'm making 20 breakable hearts. They've given me champagne to put in all the boxes. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on?
This is my thing.
This is my thing. Right. And so like I explained to them when I was leaving, I'm going to do what you're doing to me, but I'm going to keep the money,
That's I applaud that anytime I hear it, because that is definitely from kindergarten through college. That is not what we're trained to do. We are not trained to build our own empires. We are trained to have a great income while building someone else's.
Right.
And so I always applaud people who can be like, if I'm this good at it, why not be this good at it for me?
For me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so that's what I did.
You said something earlier too that kind of resonated with me, because I go out of my way whenever I'm eating someplace, or especially with our hair care stuff, that I am intentional about finding Black businesses.
Right.
But you kind of think that maybe sometimes that could be detrimental a little bit to list yourself as a Black-owned business.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
So that's why I was explaining how it's set up on Thumbtack.
Right.
Because my best friend, she's also a chef. And she's in New York, and she moved to Atlanta. She put herself on the same app. When she did it at first, she had her logo up there. You didn't see a picture of her. She was getting everybody, Indian, everything.
Because that's the goal, right?
Right.
All money's green.
Right. That's what I say. And, once she put a picture of her face as what you saw first, she started getting all Black customers, and she said they don't want to pay me.
And she wasn't getting anybody else then? That's interesting.
No. And so that's why strategically I have my logo first and then the food. And then later on you find a picture of me.
Right, because by the time they get to the picture, they're
You
like,
got
this looks
sucked in.
amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got totally sucked in.
Right.
And so then, and that's what I want. I don't want to be judged by the color of my skin. I want to be judged by my skill set.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I just sometimes, hearing you say that, it makes so much sense because the world we live in, unfortunately, we are judged by our skin color.
Right.
So why lead with that?
Right.
But then I also think about the Black dollar doesn't stay in the Black community enough. So
Right.
I prefer people to let me know they're Black owned so I can patron their business. But just because I'm one person.
Right.
So are you really going to make the income that can sustain you because one person is intentional?
And so what I found is companies, if they want a Black person, they're going to find you.
Right.
So like I've had companies that come from out of state and I don't know how they found me, but they find me. And like, for some reason, in February, I guess it's Black History. It was just like all these companies were wanting a Black person.
Yeah. But that's a doorway in because once you're there for Black History Month and they see how good you are.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I brought the owner. He's Indian. He came out to meet me because I made like vegan burgers and stuff like that. But I'm like, when I do the Beyond or Impossible, I don't want it to just be okay. I unthawed that meat and then I'm gonna shape it in a patty. No, I'm gonna take that meat. I'm gonna add seasonings to it. Everything that I would add to a regular burger, almost, I'm gonna add to yours because I feel like those extra touches. It makes a difference.
Now your business, the name of your business.
So the name of my catering business is called GennieBee Catering.
Okay.
It was named after my mom and my grandmother because those are the two who taught me. So my mom's name was Geneva and then her mother's name was Betty. Okay. And so I just put the names together.
I love that.
Yeah.
So legacy. That's a legacy company.
Yeah.
I love that. And then the event, so we're at I forgot the name of this hotel.
We're at the Current
Hotel and you're having an event here on July 23rd.
It's called it's ADE. It's a pop-up dining experience. Basically, it's where we provide you a little bit of everything. It's called the Ambiance, is what ADE stands for. Ambiance Dining Experience.
Okay.
And it's like kind of like something that you're not going to get when you go out to a restaurant, right? You'll still get the food and everything, but you also get entertainment.
Right.
So the last one that we had a sax player.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we had a sax player. When you came in, there's somebody to greet you in the lobby. So I have my staff in the lobby. They usually look at your reservation, find your name on the reservation, contact the back, and they let us know that you're here. And then somebody comes out and brings you out. Once you come out to the, it's kind of like a little lounge area. My staff starts serving you. So they serve you, like I said, either if you like wine, beer, or your non-alcoholic beverage. We have the sparkling blush, and then we have like dragon fruit lemonade, strawberry lemonade, different types of teas. So it'll give you something else as an option or a beverage. Yeah. Once you get in to the actual party, then you're seated at your tables. Everybody's assigned tables. You have your server that's going to work with you. Then they're going to start you off with your menu. So they're going to offer you like your appetizers. So for instance, our appetizers was the fried shrimp and grits. We had a chicken and waffles. That's a sweet potato waffle with a Cajun butter chicken. And then it has a cinnamon whipped cream. And then
I should have ate before I did this interview. My stomach just growled. I hope y'all didn't hear that.
Then we had a lobster risotto ball. They're fried. The salads we have a watermelon feta salad with the lime vinaigrette, the quinoa salad with a mustard maple dressing vinaigrette, and then just a regular Caesar salad.
This isn't you can just go down the streets of the restaurant and get this type food. This is like, this is like an experience.
Yeah, it's an experience. It's an experience. And it's an experience being in the fact that most of the time you would think a white man was making that menu. But the reality is a Black woman.
I love that. But how do you get good at making something that's so culturally specific and regionally specific? How do you get good at that?
So when I went to school at Cerritos, they intentionally make you're not making anything from what you're accustomed to making.
Okay. Oh, wow.
But what they taught us was to study other countries, study why they ate the food that they ate.
Mm.
You start finding out that either maybe there was a war, there was some type of famine, there was something that happened as to why certain areas eat what they eat.
Huh.
So once you understand that and all their flavor profiles, then you can pull off something.
So for people who like to cook, like, my grandmother, my auntie were amazing cooks. I used to tell them all the time, you should open a restaurant.
Right.
They wanted no parts of that. But if it's probably because they didn't want to do the business aspect of it.
Right.
So for especially younger people out there who are amazing at cooking and they're at this stage in their life when they're thinking about what they want to do for their future, would you encourage them to pursue this?
Yes. Actually, you don't have to go to school.
Okay.
So like I have a few people that I mentor. One of my ladies I mentor, her husband's the head of NFL security.
Oh, nice.
And all she does is make peach cobbler. But like I told her, if you're going to make peach cobbler, this better be the best peach cobbler you ever made in your life. She doesn't have anything. We set her up. You're going to be in the farmer's market. That's your goal. She's in the farmer's market and she sells out. And she called me and she's like, Denise, I need your help. I'm like, what's wrong? Well, I ran out. I said, no, you don't need my help.
That's a good problem.
That's a good problem. What you need to do now is make more. If you have something, a recipe maybe of your grandmother's that is something that's really good, and you like, I know this could sell, or you have a bunch of people asking you, oh my God, can I have that? Just find that one thing and just fine tune it, and then just grow it from there.
Yeah.
You can be in a farmer's market and you can cook from home. There are laws called the Cottage Law.
Okay.
It's where you can work from home as long as you don't make over $65,000. You can get your kitchen license. That's what I taught my friend to do with the peach cobbler. Her kitchen's licensed by the health department. The health department came out and checked her place out.
Wow, that information is going to be very helpful.
So
to a
yeah,
lot of
you
people.
can get, and the cottage license is like $150 to get, and that, and even the farmers markets, they actually will help you get those things too.
Nice.
So yeah, just FYI, if that's something you want to dibble and dabble in, you can start right away.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Amazing. July 23rd.
Yes.
I will be here. What's the attire? Do we dress fancy schmancy?
Yes.
Okay.
Dress to impress.
I'm ready. I'm so excited. Thank you again. We've got
Thank
so
you.
much great information. I've worked with a lot of different pop-ups that I don't even think they knew about this cottage license. So I'm always excited to get out new information, and your spirit is just your energy is great. Oh, and we've got lollipops that I'm about to go taste.
Yes.
So I'm so excited. Thank you again. I will see you on July 23rd.
Yes, see
you
you
guys
then.
can see her on July 23rd as well. The link is going to be in the description. Get your tickets. Come out. Let's get dressed up. Eat some amazing food. And don't forget, if you have to speak a word, make it a good one. We'll see you next time.